Hello and welcome to Higher or Lower, the show brought to you by oddschecker, Spreadex and Sporty Index, where we look ahead to the weekend's football and say if the eventual results will be higher or lower than the midpoint of the spread betting market. I'm your host, George Ellick, delighted to be joined to my left as ever by Jack Wright.
Hello.
And thank goodness Dan Worth has taken a holiday and therefore Sam Tighe is here.
Is he actually on holiday or is he working hard somewhere else?
No, he's on holiday.
Oh, okay.
He's on holiday with the lads.
Oh, I see.
Which, I was about to say for you and I is a distant memory because we've got kids, but actually I was on a lads weekend last weekend.
Yep, fair enough.
In Slovenia. A beautiful country. Have you been there?
Nope, I haven't.
No.
Really?
No.
I'd
Hang on,
recommend
why
it.
does he get a really? Does he look like someone who's been to
He's
Slovenia, but I don't?
very well. I could tell when I was talking to you that you hadn't been because your face.
I'd love to go.
If there was a
How's
flicker
that?
of recognition, I'd have known you'd been, but there was just dead behind the eyes.
Closest I've been is Croatia.
Lovely, lovely country as well. But Slovenia, I would say, is underrated. Very easy flight. The airport is in between Ljubljana, which is the very picturesque capital, and Lake Bled, just north, which is beautiful. So, yes, it's a good place to go, I would say. I recommend it.
Tourism show.
Wow, thanks so much for tuning in. Next week we'll be talking about Dubrovnik.
Invoice to the Slovenian. It was great to meet, my friend from the Slovenian Tourist Board when I was there as well. Invoice to come. Right. A weekend full of Premier League action this time around. The EFL playoffs are, of course, well underway, but the finals aren't until next weekend. So hopefully then Dan will create a running order of just those games.
Don't hold your breath.
Probably not. Kick off with Aston Villa against Tottenham. First match goal is the market we're looking at here. So the minute in which the first goal is scored in, 29.5 is the midpoint here with Spreadex, and that means that if you're going lower, then you need a goal to be scored before the half-hour mark. Higher, you want a goal half hour, the first goal half hour or later. Sam, to my right, is an Aston Villa fan.
It's about time we had Aston Villa on the show when Sam's on here.
Yeah, he has to get this right. 3, 2, 1. Yeah, we're all in agreement.
Cool.
Sam, as it's your team, you can take us away.
Thank you very much. Yeah, Villa know what's at stake here. Villa know 2 wins probably gets them into the top 5, given that the other results around them the other fixtures around them make it difficult for everybody to catch up and everyone to get to maximum points. So 2 games here against 2 really distracted Europa League finalists. It just kind of feels like it's quite a simple procedure for Villa here. And the first one being at home, where they're always very strong, rarely lose. Average time of the opening goal in games at Villa Park this season is 25 minutes. So that comes in under the line, which is a good start. And Villa should be hyper-focused here. They know that Spurs, they've got one eye on the final.
One eye.
Both eyes.
I think higher than one eye.
More than one. More than one eye.
More than one eye?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think Spurs have got 2 eyes.
2 eyes. Two eyes on the Europa League final.
So doesn't that suggest they might not even arrive here?
I think they'll arrive.
Well, they've got to know, maybe like an eighth
They've
of an
got a
eye.
bus driver. He's got his eyes on the road.
They're
got their eyes
they're playing
on the
blindfolded on Friday night.
I think they might be.
They have got no midfield. Madison, Kulusevski and Boval are all injured.
Yeah.
They were playing with probably definitely a second choice midfield, probably a second choice centre-back pairing. You probably wouldn't want to risk Van der Ven and Romero
100%.
to injuries ahead of... All of this points to Villa just starting fast, scoring, and then going on and winning. And the Villa Park energy under the lights, it is something, and it does power Villa towards something. The objective is clear. The rewards are in sight. Just go and do the business against a distracted Spurs side. I just can't see how this doesn't come together for Villa very early on.
Love it. Yeah, Jack.
100% totally agree. Can't see anything other than a really comfortable Villa win, which starts with them getting ahead early and then cruising to 2-3, 4-0 victory. I think if you had to pick any side in the Premier League right now to play, at home especially, Tottenham would probably be the side, even more than Southampton, Ipswich and Leicester, to be honest, because they've completely written off the season. They've got absolutely 0 levels of desire to even be there, but they have to obligation to fulfil the fixtures about as much as they've got for this. I just think they're going to get out of the traps early, Villa, and win it. You look at their recent games as well. As you said, their record at home, they lost the first home game of the season, didn't they, against Arsenal? Yeah. Since then, it's been faultless. The most recent fixtures, goals in the 12th minute, 1st minute, 13th minute, 9th minute and 29th minute. 13 of 18 have seen a goal before the 30th minute in their home league games this season, so it's a no-brainer.
Yeah, I definitely agree with what you guys are saying, but I think there's also another angle here, which is like kind of beware of the side with nothing to play for, where even though Villa scoring is obviously the most likely eventuality here because of the importance of the game, there's also an element here where for Spurs they can kind of attack with, I mean, they rarely take much defensive responsibility anyway. It's not that they're particularly in good form, but there's also an element where they could hurt Villa in transition too, because they have to throw men forward and because there's kind of nothing to lose. I don't think we're going to see a Spurs side here who sit deep and just don't really lay a glove on Villa because it's not really the way they're set up.
They don't do that, but it's about priorities, isn't it? And like, if I was a Spurs player, my priority right now, especially off the back of Kulusevski hurting his knee, and
don't get injured.
Don't get injured. And if your priorities don't get injured, then I think you're there for the taking against a team so powerful at home who have everything on the line.
For sure. Yeah, I agree. But all I'm saying is I wouldn't also rule out, in my mind, this isn't just first Villa goal. I think there is a possibility that, you know, if Villa are throwing loads of men forward, that Spurs could hurt them.
I'll put a real life example into there, which justifies what you've now said. Is when they went to Anfield when Liverpool had to win the title.
Yeah.
And they actually took the lead relatively early. They didn't really want to celebrate it because they knew it was coming. But like I said, that could happen. They could fluke an early goal as well. So yeah, we'll have that on side. But yeah, no problem. Good, easy.
Perfect. Kind of rinse and repeat.
It's rinse and repeat.
Because Chelsea host Manchester United. Everything on the line for Chelsea. You need a win in order to try and solidify their European place for next season. Against Manchester United side, who, how many eyes have they got in this game?
I'd say on this game, 0.25. Quarter of an eye.
More of an eye than Spurs?
A quarter of an eye more, yeah.
Why?
I just think they've got better fringe players who possibly could make it into the Europa final 11, who might well have a little bit of an attempt.
Okay.
I almost think
margin.
I think fewer eyes. I think less eyes.
Fewer eyes than 0.
Well, no, because I said an eighth
minus
of an eye.
eyes.
I said an eighth of an eye.
All right.
I mean, it's also we're never going to, because by the time we next sit here, by the time we next sit in these seats next Thursday, we'll all just have watched what I think is probably the most exciting European Cup final I can remember in my lifetime as someone with no skin in the game. I mean, that's an exaggeration, but I love the idea of 17th versus 16th in the Premier League playing against each other. I love the idea of two managers who are under immense pressure from their fan base and their clubs facing off in an all-English European final. I cannot wait.
It's all about the Premier League with you, isn't it? Anyway.
All right, Gary. Okay, so the market here is Chelsea over Manchester United supremacy, so the amount of goals by which Chelsea, the favourites, will beat Manchester United. The midpoint here is 1.55. 1.55. So,
it's big.
What you're looking at is Chelsea have to win by 2 goals or more if they are to justify a higher selection. Lower, you get a United win. You get a draw. You get a solitary goal win. Like, you get a lot on side here. But it is also Manchester United with only a quarter of an eye, according to Jack, on the game. Right, ready?
I'm ready.
3, 2, 1.
Bang.
Right. How many eyes do you see them having?
Right. Don't want to contradict myself here after everything I just said about Spurs and this whole discussion we've had about number of eyes, which has been a bit weird. But I think this is a good opportunity to go against the grain. And it's about Chelsea's injury news. Sorry, not injury news, suspension news. It's about... Absentees. It's about Nicholas Jackson and how bad they looked when he was last not available. They played 5 games over February and March without Nicholas Jackson leading into the March international break. They lost 3 of them. That was to Arsenal, Brighton and Villa. They scored 1 goal across those 3 games. They did win 2 games, but they were against Southampton and Leicester. I'm not saying they don't count, but they don't count. Losing Jackson, losing his ability to open up space for Cole Palmer, put him into the worst rut of his career. And right now, I am unwilling to back Chelsea to score 2 goals in a game of football based on what I saw in February and March without Jackson. So
interestingly, when Nicholas Jackson last, he went on as you say, had a goal slump and a form slump and an injury absentee issue. My son was born on the 18th of December. We called him Nico, and up to that point, Nicholas Jackson scored 9 goals. He then didn't score again until the end of April. So Chelsea sporting friends of mine were like, "What have you done? You have named your son after Nicholas Jackson." No, I didn't. Has then triggered a massive slump in his form. And finally, I was so happy that it was over with his 3 goals in consecutive games until the red card put an end to that. I get what you're saying, and I definitely agree that I think Jackson is underrated on quite a few different fronts, even though I didn't name my son after him. And certainly with him out of the side, Chelsea look way, way poorer. Like what has happened with Nkunku this season, I basically can't fathom.
Cursed.
I mean, it's it's so weird to see a player who once looked just very special and so like he'd be a massive part player for them. Even last season, when he came out from injury, whenever he came on the pitch, it looked like a better side, just looking so poor. But this is United, and I just really struggle to find a reason why we're going to see them. And this is the Chelsea side, just home form all season has been really strong. They've only lost 2 games at home, one of which was on opening day against Man City, which they lost 2-0. They beat Liverpool and covered the -1 in their last home game. I think they should see them off relatively comfortably.
But I get a Chelsea 1-0 win here.
You do?
Or 2-1.
Or 2-1.
That's very attractive. Like, it gives you a lot of leeway here. And if you're sat like where I am and you really you think this team does not function properly without Nicholas Jackson, and what I saw in February and March supports that point. And it's not just about Jackson scoring goals, it's about the effect it has on Cole Palmer as well and the others. Then I've got every reason to go lower here.
Yeah. Jack?
Well, when I had my son Amarim at the start of the season, I didn't. Sorry, my girlfriend's watching this. It's on for years. Well, I didn't.
Amazing.
I didn't. I think I'd strongly fancy Chelsea at any point in time this season against Manchester United to win. And I think just because of this Europa League final coming up on Wednesday is enough for me to think they will win by 2 or more, because Manchester United will just be even worse than they normally are at this moment in time. So, and Chelsea have been very strong at home, and I totally get the Nicholas Jackson issue and how they are a better side with him in it. I just think they will find a way, whatever that looks like, against this United side. So yeah, the strength of Chelsea at home, the distracted nature of Man United, and when I said they have slightly more of an eye on it than Spurs, that's what I was kind of getting at really, is that I haven't got complete faith in Chelsea based on the fact that they haven't got Jackson and a couple of other issues as well, but enough for me to think that they are going to win, and they probably will win by 2 or 3.
Lovely stuff. Next up is the FA Cup final. The small matter of the FA Cup final.
Yes.
And it's an interesting one because in Crystal Palace, you've got a side, this is, for most Palace fans, the most important game that they've seen their team play ever. For Manchester City, this is just another cup final. But off the back of...
They've all got like room shares in North London, haven't they, for the Wembley trip? So they go out 3 times a year.
Albeit, obviously this is a rare occasion where City need to win this in order to actually win a trophy this season, when we're used to this being one of maybe a couple for City. We're looking at the supremacy market here at Wembley. Obviously no home team, but City are still significant favourites. 0.85 is the midpoint. So higher here is a Manchester City win. This is a Sporting Index. Lower is a draw or a Palace win. This is 90 minutes only. Yeah. Okay. So if you fancy Palace to go through, if you fancy Palace to lift the trophy, you could be going lower here anyway, because they can't lose 90 then and lift the trophy. So there you go. I think I complicated things there. Right, higher or lower City over Palace. 3, 2, 1.
There we go.
See, look, I really wouldn't be surprised in any way, shape or form if Palace end up lifting the trophy this weekend. Like, I think, as we've said, this is a side who've been so impressive in the Cup, who were not favourites to come through in the semi-final against Villa, and were the better team after the first 10-15 minutes, were the better team by miles that day. Sorry. They are, the Wembley is going to be if there is a home advantage that you could put on this game, it'll be Crystal Palace's, because that Palace end is going to be absolutely bouncing. Full and bouncing. But I just can't get away from, if you're going to play the probabilities here, what is more likely in my mind? City outclass them and get over the line. A City team who are full of winners, despite what we've seen this season, who have basically farmed this competition for much of the last decade or so, who are experienced and have shown in the past they've come up against sides in these finals and haven't only beaten them but have absolutely dominated them. And I just can't get away from the fact that I think City are the most likely, and therefore I've got to go higher, even if I will be cheering the other side quite vociferously. Jack, why do you disagree? Why do you think Palace can get something out of this?
Do you know when I changed my mind from higher to lower?
As you were holding it up.
As I went and put my bat up, I was just thinking about it. I am going to change my mind here. I think it's a really, really tough one to call.
Yeah.
I love watching Crystal Palace play. I love many of their players that they've got. I think they've also got such great players in each department. You know, defensively is very, very strong. I love watching Eze play. Munoz is one of my favourite players to watch. His energy up and down the right-hand side. I love the fact that he gets involved in attacks. Next thing he's doing is crunching someone down in the far corner. And I just got that little inkling that I think Palace can... I think it's actually going to be a draw after 90 minutes. That's would be my prediction on it if you ask me the outcome. So therefore, of course, I'm going to win with this selection because we get that onside by going lower. So the job Glasner's done at Palace is phenomenal, and I also like the fact how he's kind of kept them honest and how many managers and sides would rotate and rest players. We saw it last week. Their key men were playing against Spurs and they ran out really comfortable and worthy winners, and they've got probably their best player at this moment in time, their most creative player, their goal-scoring asset as well, in prime form at the moment in Eze. And I'm just going to say that I appreciate all those things because that was going to be my argument about City needing to win and do win, and this is their time. But I just feel that there's something wanting me to go with Palace. So.
And to George's point as well, you talk about these players that are used to winning. This is the Kevin De Bruyne swan song, which is a pretty powerful narrative if you think about it. But I've gone lower as well. I quite like the double chance on Palace in 90 minutes because even though I think Palace can win this game, I would shade City. But I really do, regardless of what happens, I think Palace are going to make this a really long and difficult evening for City. So I like the idea of going lower here to get the 90 minutes to draw onside.
I really like that you've gone for evening there just to solidify that we find out the kick-off time.
Well, I was going to say afternoon, and it is 5:30, so I'm afraid that is evening.
Isn't it 4:30?
Is it? Oh, is it? Okay, well, either way.
Well, I mean, it'll be evening by the time it finishes.
It will be
Especially
evening.
after extra time.
I promise you it will be evening. But picking up on the semi-final, so always back Glasner to beat Emery because Glasner's formation and the way he
was here for the semi. It would have been good to
have handy, wouldn't
it? Yeah, I mean, it's just like they're just tactical kryptonite to Unai Emery, and if you think that Pep's build-up system and Emery's build-up system are similar in ways, which they are, then you can expect Glasner's style, the little mid-block they sit in, and the way they pounce on the midfielders and then just go. This will also be a problem for Pep. City have a better defence, so it may not be as much of a problem. They might not go 3-0 down, but Palace will give as good as they get here, and they will play very similarly. They will cause the same problems, and, as I say, make it a long evening.
It's interesting you said 3-0 down because at the Etihad most recently, Palace were sensational.
Oh, yeah, they went 2-0 up.
They went 2-0 up. And then what we thought was 3-0 up, but like a toenail offside, wasn't it? Which brought that back. But they were the traps they were setting, the way they were playing, as you say, they controlled the middle of the park, the width they had. Everything was so good. And then, unlike Glasner, he took Mateta off at half time, didn't he? He had a little tactical switch. And he actually went on record as saying he made a big mistake then, he wouldn't do it again. So it'd be interesting to see how this one starts and then progresses through. Should be a really, really interesting, good watch of an FA Cup final.
I can't wait, honestly.
Yeah.
There's a really good quote that's doing the round from Glasner where he says, what is clear is that we should feel no burden. Pressure comes when you're trying to avoid relegation. When you're playing for your future, the future of the football club and the club's employees. But playing in a cup final means you can achieve something incredible. This is what we are all playing for. This is the childhood dream. When these players were kids, I'm sure they all watched the cup finals and dreamed of one day being involved in one. Now everyone has the chance to fulfil that childhood dream.
That's great. Nice, relaxed atmosphere around
How
the team.
good is that?
And I think the players will respond to that. I don't see Barry as a player who is going to get all like knotted up about this final.
I agree.
He's going to go out there with a smile on his face.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, on to two more games to cover this week before we get to our tips of the week. Everton against Southampton. Next up, total goals is the market here. Everton at home, the Sporting Index have it 2.95 is the midpoint. 2.85 to sell, 3.05 to buy. 3, 2, 1. I mean, it's easy, this, isn't it, Jack?
I think so,
When it's 2.95, you're like, well, am I going to take the heavy odds on shot or the heavy odds against shot?
Yeah, indeed. I'll be able to get 3 or more for a win here is great. And Everton obviously in great goal-scoring form now after 3 goals at Fulham last weekend.
And they have been relatively consistently under Moisey.
Yeah, only failed to score in 2 home games since Moyes' return. And Beto has been very, very good as far as his home form is concerned. And the back end of the season, he's done very, very well. So they have got that focal point and that goal scorer as well. And I also think Southampton finally having dragged themselves over the line.
I loved
the 12-point line.
Yes.
I loved that they tweeted Derby to celebrate. Amazing.
They had a day on socials, didn't they, with Ruben Dias and Derby.
Yeah.
Everton aren't keeping home clean sheets very often as well, so it does help to get a little bit of buy-in from the other team. Obviously, the problem we've had this season with the Leicester total goals is that if Leicester are going to contribute literally nothing for 4 months, then you're up against it. But Everton are quite frequently conceding one at home, even if they're not losing. They actually draw quite a lot, don't they?
Yeah.
But I think this has got a very strong, let's say goodbye to Goodison with a couple of goals. You've got like Southampton relaxing up a little bit, which is great. But you've got about 15 players at Everton out of contract, half of which are trying to get another one at the club. So they've got a lot to play for here, and they're saying goodbye to the stadium, which is a big moment, but they're also playing for their futures. You've got like Dwight McNeil needs to continue impressing his new boss because his footballing father, Sean Dyche, was removed from his position during his injury, so he's got a lot of ground to catch up on. Calvert-Lewin's contract is coming up. He's back from injury. Delap rumours should put Beto on edge. Carlos Alcaraz wants to sign permanently. Can he do there's a lot here that I'm Everton will be very motivated to pile on the goals here against, frankly, the worst team in the league.
And I think what you've said there, to kind of take that run with it a little bit, is that all those players are going to want to be put in concrete in the history there, saying that they were scoring in the last game of Goodison, aren't they? So.
Yeah, it just seems very unlikely to me that the last game of Goodison is going to fizzle out into just a boring last 10 or so. I mean, we saw what happened with the last Merseyside derby at Goodison, didn't we? With that late drama. And even if Everton are 2-0 up, surely they're not just going to be like, oh, let's just sit on our lead. No. They'll throw a man forward consistently.
Carnival atmosphere.
And this is a proper fun in the sun. Sorry, Dan, but fun in the sun game where there's no reason for Southampton not to try and play their part too, and try and spoil the party. So we're all in agreement there.
Yep.
Final game, Arsenal against Newcastle. Total goal minutes is the market we're looking at here. 145 to sell, 155 to buy. Arsenal coming back from 2-0 down against Liverpool last weekend. Newcastle seeing off Chelsea in both of their bids to confirm European football for next season. 150 the midpoint with Sporting Index. Higher or lower? 3, 2, 1. Ah, guys. Nice. Sam?
There you go. I mean, I toed and froed on this one. I did. I can't read this one. Not that we can read any football matches, but you often have a very clear idea of how something's going to play out.
On grass.
Yes, it is, not on paper.
Correct.
The fact that this is potentially a battle for second, I think this adds in a potentially quite a cagey element to it, which you wouldn't necessarily expect. But there's still actually something on the line for both of these teams. Arsenal, it's a case of avoiding the memes, right? I don't subscribe to this idea at all because obviously they've prioritised Champions League football and that's why they've dropped off so much. But people will say, if they don't finish second, people will say you finished third in a 2-horse race, and people will have fun with it. Motivation there to get this one done. And for Newcastle, if they win this game, it's done, right?
Yeah.
So what that means to me is two very good teams defensively going at each other, and probably ending up with a low goal tally. That's where I'm going with it. A low goal tally, I think.
Yeah, I think I agree. Even though these are two sides, I mean, obviously Arsenal's defensive record for the most part is very good, but certainly with Newcastle games you'd associate goals. But it just kind of feels that there's no pressing need for this to become an end-to-end slugfest. I think a point for each is okay. Kind of the end of a long season. Often, I think when there's a lot riding on games and it isn't imperative that both teams win, it can kind of fizzle out to an extent. So I mean, I think a cagey start here certainly, and for total goal minutes, I don't really see why we would predict that there'd be loads of late drama.
No, my angle in is the fact that I think a draw probably suits both sides because I think that pretty much assures Arsenal of Champions League football and obviously keeping Newcastle just beneath them. And for Newcastle, that would then leave everything in their hands, really, where they beat Everton at home on the final day of the season. And that will sort them out as well. So I think there is that element that if this is all square, going 75 minutes, 80 minutes, then it could well peter out. And handshakes and off you go. So strong defensive sides, so I think there's a lot at stake, which will tend to lend itself to being a tight and cagey affair. And fans of the historical stats, which I know there's several of you out there, Dan included, this is for you, Dan, under 2.5 goals, which would suggest would then mean it'd be under 150 minutes, in 9 of the last 10 meetings between the two sides across all venues, and only both teams to score no, so a maximum of only one of the sides scoring in 14 of the last 15 meetings between the two sides across all venues.
Wow.
So, generally a low-scoring battle this, and I think this one will follow suit.
Good stuff. Right, time for our naps, our best bets. Sam, what have you found this weekend?
Yeah, trying to cover some Premier League ground that we haven't already covered here, and I looked at Forest for the favourites in the supremacy market against West Ham away, which I would be happy to bet against.
Sell.
Did everybody see Morgan Gibbs-White's defeated, crushed, crestfallen face after the... I mean, honestly, it was horrible, but I don't know how many times he said the word frustrating, but it was only a 40-second interview, and it was more than 3. This Forest team have hit the skids, 1 win in 6, and particularly away from the comforts of the City ground, where that crowd can really get them over the line. Sometimes, even now, it's obviously fallen apart a little bit. They look like a team to me that are probably good to bet against, and you're effectively getting a double chance here with a home win or a draw from West Ham. I appreciate West Ham's home form is not particularly great, but I'm effectively betting against Forest here on the double chance, which makes sense to me. I look at how the pressure has maybe got to them, how the injuries have finally affected their form. They did so well for 32 games to sustain very few. And now, unfortunately for them, it does look like it's crumbling.
Yes, it does.
Agreed.
Jack?
I'm going to go into League 2, and I'm going for AFC Wimbledon versus Notts County.
Love it.
And
What do I reckon you're going to do here? I don't think you're going to do goals, are you? Total goal minutes?
Total goal minutes. Midpoint
Really?
120. What a low line that is.
Yeah, it is.
I'm selling it.
It's Dons.
I'm selling it.
Are you selling it?
Selling. Lower than 120.
Notts County, the best attacking team in the whole division, although not at the moment.
Oh.
Not at the moment.
Oh. Why not at the moment?
Because Jata's injured.
Yes.
He's been playing
Suspended.
not very well anyway. Suspended, sorry. Because they're just not playing that well.
Yeah.
Did he around?
And injured.
There you
Muscle strain.
There you go.
Ice pack on it at the just before the sending off.
Yeah.
So it fell apart for Notts County.
You can tell I was away this weekend.
We'll cut that bit
No,
out.
it's fine.
We'll
Keep it in. Keep it in.
segue
I'm not
together.
hiding.
Okay.
I didn't even do our pod on Monday. It's fine. Everyone knows.
Fine.
Yeah.
Okay. Fair enough. Yeah. So anyway, ice pack on the high thigh area, and probably will be out. So it's obviously a huge amount of their goals.
Yeah.
Between them, 19 and 17 between them, and 68 goals in total for Notts County. So you can see a lot of their firepower gone there. And of course, Wimbledon have got the best defensive record in League 2, and they've got a 1-0 lead already in the bag, ready to go and defend, and cruise through to Wembley with a 0-0 draw. So I'm going to sell total goal minutes at midpoint of 120.
Yeah, I'm going to League 2 as well. I mean, it's interesting. AFC Wimbledon's last third of the season was just dominated by them squandering leads, and they take a 1-0 lead home on Saturday. Walsall had a 12-point lead at the top of League 2 and a 17-point lead over Bradford at the end of January, and they squandered both. And with the last, basically, kick at Bradford, ended up not winning automatic promotion.
You mentioned that 2 weeks running now. Is it cathartic?
No, I hate it.
No.
Yet, they take a 2-0 lead home after beating Chesterfield 2-0.
Yeah.
Surely, Walsall and AFC Wimbledon aren't just going to both just be like, yep, fine, we're going to take this forward. And we saw with Sunderland, who took a lead back home and they lost the game 1-0 in 90 minutes, then scored in the last minute through Dan Ballard. These ties are not done by any stretch. And I'm annoyed because the mark I really want to look at here is Chesterfield corners, where we've seen, I think, home advantage is factored in way too high when it comes to corner count, when the game state is as it is, and basically the game kicks off as 2-0 to the home side. But it's not there yet, so keep your eye on corners, that's what I'm going to say. But I'm going to go for
How many eyes?
first, 2.
2 eyes. Good.
Especially don't do anything else until it's out. First Chesterfield goal is the market I'm looking at here. And I'm selling at the midpoint, which is 55. Ooh. Because they start the game 2-0 down. Walsall can, well, they won't want to, but Walsall can let them score and still be ahead. From the first minute of this game, Walsall have been a good defensive side for a long period of time, and their underlying numbers defensively are way better than the goals they've conceded. I think it's 28 goals conceded from 8 expected since mid-Jan, which let's not talk about that. But from the first whistle, Chesterfield, who are a really good attacking side, who dominate the ball, will, I think, just be camped in Walsall's half. And I'll be amazed if at some point they don't at least get one goal. Even if Walsall, go the other end and, because they're playing a high line or whatever, pick them off and go 1-0 up. I'd be amazed if Chesterfield don't create some big chances early on in this game. And I think that 55 is way, way too high.
This is basically Walsall season condensed down into 90 minutes, isn't it?
This is a team who basically just forgot how to win. I'd be amazed if they see this out without any trouble. Maybe they will, and maybe that would be for those of us who are on at big prices, it would be the ultimate blow. I have to say, if I'm sitting at Wembley watching them celebrating promotion, having backed them to win the league. Anyway, who cares? Who cares? Right, that brings this episode of Higher or Lower to a close. Thank you very much for taking the time to watch it. We'll be back again next week. Hopefully, we'll be dominated by playoff finals rather than the last day of the Premier League season.
Yeah, I know.
Is that a thing?
Might be a few games with something on the line. Might be.
But either way, that'll be next week. Dan should be back by then, sadly. No. I just love Sam. But thank you to Sam, thank you to Jack. If you haven't already got a Sporting Index or a Spreadex account, make sure you sign up for one using the link in the description below. There's a new customer offer there if you haven't already got an account, so click on that. Please do read the T's and C's. And remember that losses can exceed your initial deposit when it comes to spread betting. Oddschecker have you covered for all your fixed odds betting needs, so check that out for the best prices, bookie offers, and various other things up on site and on the app too. WhoScored.com have you sorted for all of your stats for your football betting too. Thank you for watching. Enjoy the weekend's football. Hopefully some winners in there, but please do ensure that you're gambling responsibly.